Hey guys, Dave here with Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds, hanging out with some of my colleagues here.
Got Ted.
Ryan.
Today we're going to be revisiting 5th edition and some of our opinions, and we've played a couple games now.
Don't you have to leave it to revisit?
Well, yeah, I guess you might have a point there.
How about taking a second look?
We
look
can
at
do
it.
that.
We've looked at it as we've read the rules, and you've played some games outside the group. Dave, you played some games outside the group. I've run a couple of sessions. You're getting ready to run your first session, and there's a lot of differences, a lot of changes that aren't exactly subtle. So who wants to kick it off first?
Well, first of all, we had a couple of house rules we wanted to initiate right from the get-go, but we decided to say, okay, well let's play it first and see how it plays. Two of them right off the bat was getting rid of the insta heals after a long.
And we realized it would be a bad idea.
Yeah.
So bad because
and then the other
lethal.
one. The other one you had suggested, which we haven't really talked about much, was giving bonus languages for high intelligence.
For the intelligence mod.
But the thing is now that we have all the rules, we see that there's a feat that gives you a handful of bonuses. Several of the backgrounds give you bonus languages, and it's also a class feature for several of the races now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they've kind of changed the relative importance of intelligence in a way. Like now, intelligence pretty much applies to your skills, and then if you're a wizard, it's kind of it's taken a kind of secondary role. It used to determine how you got skills. That was your baseline of having a decent array of skills was contingent on having a decent intelligence modifier.
in 3.5 Pathfinder, all of your stats are to some degree are important, and you have to sit back and figure out, well, do I have a higher here? Do I have a lower there? To figure out what's going to make the the best character that you can actually put forward.
See, I kind of disagree because I feel like they were more weighted in Pathfinder and 3.5. Like charisma was always useless, unless you're this skill monkey that wants to be the face, or you're a bard or sorcerer. Intelligence, again, it was your skills, it was your languages.
Different stats definitely had more, importance.
Yeah, your arcane, and then wisdom again, some skills and some.
But wisdom also gave you your passive, perception, which could be a life or death situation depending upon what's.
Well, other than fourth, you weren't using passive perception.
Yeah, that started with fourth.
Did it start with fourth?
Yeah.
No.
I mean, it's
a nice thing to institute.
It blurs. It blends.
A nice rule to institute the passive perception because I do like it because just as soon as you ask somebody to drop a die roll, it totally puts their suspicion of all right, what's going to happen? I'm getting ready for the encounter.
They instantly start. They break character and start going metagamey.
Yeah.
It's unavoidable.
But yeah, so I don't know. For intelligence in this edition, as long as you're not making a character that's going to use any intelligence-based skills, you can happily dump the intelligence stat and not really care. It's I'm not doing any knowledge skills.
But you know what? Here's another, and I thought about this too, because I've dumped intelligence, I've dumped dex, I've dumped charisma for different characters in this edition so far. But here's another thing to take in consideration, and I thought about it afterwards. It hasn't come up yet. But since every single stat is a saving throw, you could pay severely for those dumps.
Well, here's the thing. Out of saving throws what we've seen, I mean, I don't own the PHB or the monster manual where you're going to see a bunch of this requires such and such a save. Out of what I've seen so far, mostly everything is either a con or a dex save. Out of the bulk, and maybe fear effects. Maybe that'd probably be wisdom.
I imagine there's going to be wisdom and intelligence saves in there in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, when you go into the monster manual, you start getting more into wisdom and charisma. As well.
I imagine there's going to be push or pull effects that are gonna be a strength save when they actually can't come up. Some things could have a grapple situation that could be just make a strength save. I haven't really delved into it too deeply. My master manual comes in just a couple of days.
I'm still holding out for the PDF books, Wizards of the Coast, if you're watching. So
there you go.
But I mean, my character for your game, I totally dumped, strength and dex. He's got an 8 strength, 10 dex, or vice versa. 10 strength, 8 dex. He's not looking to go into melee, and he's wearing armor. He doesn't care about, that let me dodge nonsense.
Right.
So
Just slathering on the heavy armor. Is that the idea?
I think he's got heavy, but I don't have the character sheet memorized just yet.
Yeah.
But it's like, he's got that situation that the other stats were more important, and for all.
Wait a minute? Is that your sage character?
Yeah.
I don't think he's got heavy armor.
Oh well, then he's wearing scale mail, whatever that is.
Scale mail, I think, is medium. But no, I think because to get the heavy armor, you have to have like the war domain. The Tempest might give it to you.
Life gets it. I know
Life
that
gets
much.
it. But you got the knowledge domain,
Right.
so I don't think there's any heavy armor going
Well,
on.
then-
You don't know nothing about no heavy armor. Yeah. You don't have knowledge of that. Yeah.
No worries,
Yeah.
But I mean, he's
Best defense, axe to the face.
Yeah.
he's not looking to actually get into melee. It's
Things have gone south.
He's got his
Yeah.
+2 proficiency bonus if he's actually needing to swing. I think he'd cast Thunderwave, first if that were to happen.
Well, yeah, Thunderwave is actually a great, like, you're surrounded type of spell, except for, like, your average orcs and things like that are going to have a pretty bumpy con, so, they might make their saving throw, so they're, that's to contend with.
Or
but-
strength. They might have a bumpy strength, too.
Yeah, well, no, but Thunderwave goes off of con.
Does it? I
Yeah.
thought it was a strength-based.
Pretty sure it's a con save, yeah.
No.
But
We digress,
We
as
digress.
usual. Yeah. So,
So you've been playing...
a few sessions of the starter box.
Yeah,
just to see how that
so you're
goes.
you're playing at a gaming store or a comic book store? Where you
Yeah,
at?
it's a game shop called Red Cap's Corner in Philadelphia. It's kind of in the University City area, super close to like the Drexel campus. And so I met a group of people that were running it, and so I've been playing through as the Wizard Acolyte pre-gen.
Is that actually part of Encounters?
No, and that's going to be a thing. I don't know if it's started yet or that
Okay.
they're gearing up to do that. But this is like a lot of the guys actually I'm playing with were playing with it, playing through the playtest as well. So they've seen some of the other iterations of the rules, and it's kind of interesting every now and again that they'll know, oh, this is different than
Yeah, it's
how
kind
it's
of
working.
funny. Us as Nerdarchy, well, it was kind of before Nerdarchy, really. We're kind of oblivious to D&D Next, I think. Like, I was only vaguely aware that it was going on in the peripheral.
Yeah.
I'd been so far removed from playing Dungeons and Dragons, and we hadn't been gaming nearly as much as we used to.
Sadly.
Yeah, sadly. And it wasn't until we got got involved with Nerdarchy and we really started cranking out our gaming back to closer to previous levels
Right,
that were
right.
like, oh, what is this 5th edition thing, D&D Next? And then we started looking at it and go, oh, this isn't bad.
And we were happy with it. But getting back to the actual track of the video is how have our perceptions of 5e changed over the course of the actual playing. My biggest experience, or biggest eye opener, is first encounter of our second session. Now, we've been together as a group for somewhere between 18 and 20.
Wait,
years.
are you talking about the time that you viciously murdered Mark's character?
Yeah, is that the time?
You savagely
We need a
murdered
light
him?
to shine in his face.
Yeah.
Where were you on
Yeah.
the date of?
I was sitting right there.
Where on the dial did he touch your character, Mark?
Now,
Where on the dial?
I've run games in second edition. I ran games in third edition. I don't know whether I ever DM'd fourth, but never, did I really have a vicious encounter with just a small handful of orcs. There were 6 players. There were 4 orcs. The 4 orcs are supposed
Well,
to.
and for your manufactured closets.
Well, I made 4 quasits or imps or whatever they were. I basically modified a tiny scorpion.
Scorpion
know,
commoners.
Yeah.
So basically, it's like, all right, well, I want to have them some kind of poison effect, and the scorpion was like a CR 8th or some nonsense.
I don't know about you, but I was actually scared to death when those things.
Yeah, oh yeah. I
When
was
that guy
terrified,
turned
dude.
into quasits.
Yeah.
And you come out and you hit them with an AOE, and they evaporate. So I'm like, okay, well, all right, well, I expected those guys to really,
Be the threat.
be the threat.
And it was
I
the goddamn orcs.
and it was the orcs.
Yeah.
In just a few rounds, I wound up felling 3 of the 6 players with orcs, and it wasn't due to crits all over the place or any of that.
You crit
You did have a couple of crits.
You credit me.
Well,
I think you did one or
I
two.
crit one. I dropped I dropped Scott's character before he even had a chance to do anything.
Yeah.
And it was like,
What a dick.
hey man, the dice told me what to do. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, and you guys started, clearing the fields, and you're
Drop Scott's character. It's okay. Everyone will think you're a dick, but it's okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was one of those things that you guys cleared the encounter with 3 of you on the ground, and then Ryan fails his stabilize roll. The people start doing the medic-y thing, and Mark starts dropping fails. It's like, what are you gonna do? And
then crits the fail.
And he drops his first fail, and then he rolls a 1, which is 2 fails. That's 3. He's done. And it was like, holy crap! This was the first encounter of the night.
So we learned some things from this game. We learned
Don't roll a 1 on a death save.
don't leave home without your healer's kit
Yeah, healer's kit's huge. Don't leave home without it.
because it automatically
Actually,
stabilizes.
For your character being a cleric, does he have one?
Yeah.
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 I think I wonder if I think I was too poor on coin, but definitely by second level. Second level.
I'm certainly getting a healer's kit.
Yeah.
Well, so and that's funny because one of the things we wanted to take out was the insta heal, where we're losing all of our hit points left and right, like they're going out of style. And if we actually were to remove that from the game, we would constantly be boned.
Or you have the 15-minute workday. Yeah. Or is this like?
Well, no, you can only do. You can only no, you can't.
Well,
no, a long rest. Oh no,
So-
they restricted it for 24-hour periods.
Yeah.
right, but there's nothing to say. Well, you know what? I'm gonna do the
2
super
weeks.
long.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do the super long rest. You get up, you go fight. It's been 15 minutes. Well, you know what? I'm gonna walk back to that camp, and we'll start again tomorrow.
Yeah.
You just rest for 20 hours.
Yeah, or you go camping for a week because it's going to take that long to get everyone's hit points back.
I mean,
without it.
our old style was, you got, your hit points back, or your con mod, or your level back, or twice your level back if you were
Being attended.
to. Imagine if you've got, hey, I'm a first level character, I got 10 hit points, and I get one back a day. I mean, can you go survive an encounter against another couple orcs tomorrow? That's not going to happen if I'm like,
it's
only
definitely-
got 1.
So our anticipation of the whole game has kind of really changed. How many games have you played with the other group?
Playing the starter set, I think we've done 3 sessions out of that. Yeah, there's been some scheduling conflicts or whatever, but yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how I'm curious about that because I've never done that. You're basically getting together with a bunch of people you don't know and just throwing out some dice.
Well, you've totally done that. You've just done it online.
Well, that's true.
It's just.
I kind of met them online for a little bit
Oh
first.
yeah. So it was just a face-to-face. Everybody was cool. They're just there to throw some.
You
dice
did it
down.
before I did it online anyway.
Yeah. That's true.
Now how do the structured encounters versus what I've put as just writing my own material?
Well, so I mean, it's you get on the train and you ride the railroad. It's part of it. Like it's preset. Like it's pretty. It's like playing Baldur's Gate or any other sort of like RPG. RPG fantasy.
The NPC,
the story's there.
The lights up over their head.
Yeah.
You can choose to accept the quest or not.
Right. Well, yeah.
I mean the actual. Is the lethality different? Are you seeing?
Dude, the first encounter of that, we got ambushed by some goblins. And it was like basically we're investigating the wreckage of a wagon. Like, we found an overturned wagon and we're looking at it because we're like looking for a guy. And I take an arrow and it almost was enough to drop me. Like, I basically go and like I think there was like a dead horse or whatever. I take cover behind the dead horse and start pinging spells from behind it. So
You needed the shield spell, my friend.
well, you have to be aware to cast that spell.
Yeah.
Yes.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, so when you're surprised.
Wretched goblins.
Yeah. So
in over the course of the 3 sessions, have you had any deaths?
no deaths, no. But I mean, it's also it doesn't mean that couldn't have happened. We've had people drop.
So there's been party
People
drops.
definitely been dropped. Like let's see, out of maybe we've had 5 or 6 encounters throughout the course, and about a third of the time somebody actually literally dropped. And a lot of times people are close.
No encounters where half the party's on the ground?
No, that hasn't happened. Well, I mean, that was just a crazy thing of the dice. Like, that was a pretty ridiculous turn of events, you know. So
Here's what I found. I found, because the game is far less rules heavy than 3.x or Pathfinder, you know, I feel like, you know, when you're actually playing, there's so much more room to breathe. Now, the 2 games that I played online was basically, you know, random undead were on the one game. We're wandering into the town, and we decided, well, let's figure out what the problem is here, and that's our outcast game. There is no humans in the party. We have a dragonborn, drow, tiefling, and 2 half-orcs.
Nice.
And so the DM decides, well, there's this settlement where it is basically like kind of like all outcast race who just kind of get along, and they're not your typical, you know, evil humanoids. They're just trying to be, and they want to be left alone.
right.
So that's where we're kind of start off. We're hanging
So
out.
it's like Australia, basically.
Yeah, it is
Penal
like
colony.
Australia.
Yeah. Sorry if we have any viewers in Australia. It's just funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know, undead wander in and start munching on a half-orc girl or something. Or
Do your characters talk with Australian accents? Because that'd be great. Yeah, talking like
we'll
Paul
have to
Hogan.
work on that.
Yeah.
Although
Hi, mate.
AJ is going to be joining that game, and he's from New Zealand.
So
So
it's kind of the
close.
same thing,
It's
right? Yeah.
Although I think they hate it when
You mix match.
Yeah. But no, so you know, and we end up basically going, okay, well, where could these undead possibly be coming from? Well, there's a crypt. Well, we find a graveyard. So we go to the graveyard, have some encounters, and we find a mausoleum that's been chained shut, which is kind of odd. Well, we kind of break in and we find a gem that is basically animating the dead. And so that's where we left off the campaign. We solved the threat. We crushed the gem, but it's like, okay, who put it there? You know, so that was pretty fun.
Old Man Rivers.
Before it goes any further,
Jinkies.
did you have any discussions with people who were like, I don't want to break the gem? Because I mean that's one of those things that people sometimes have to...
You know what? No one actually said, I don't want to break the gem. And we don't know if the gem would actually help anyone control the undead.
I just meant, you know, for the fact that it's a gem, it's got to have value. People,
Just go sell it somewhere. I don't know why undead keeps showing up all of a sudden.
You know, there's all, you know, some people could say, well, what if we just grab the gem and take it out of the crypt? You know, if it's not in the presence of dead bodies.
As long as people don't go and die around it.
Yeah, you'll be fine. I don't know, but the power was working for miles.
Oh, well, yeah, it's one of those things that, you know, some parties would actually, you know...
Ted, you greedy bastard.
Yes, part of DMing or part of D&D is about loots and that kind of stuff.
Like,
and
how can I sell this gem that'll probably cause a plague upon whoever buys it?
You know, depending upon, you know, what the actual, you know, character, you know, if it's,
obviously
destroy it.
The neutral evil guy was like, there's profit to be made, and it's not really my problem.
Yeah. And my half-orc did get dropped in that campaign. So, you know, that was a one-shot that was run out of the Facebook group, Tabletop One-Shot group. You guys go check it out if you want to just pick up a game and play online.
It's like a one-night stand with an RPG.
Yeah,
a lovely RPG that you take home for the night. Yeah.
And you never have to look at it again. But actually, we're going to look at this one again, so I'm so excited.
Yeah, it was good enough to come back again.
Yeah. And then...
It sounds like a cool campaign. So.
It is. And then we did another one for 5th edition with David Sems, which is actually one of our early subscribers, and he joins in on the conversation and on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, I've seen him chatting here and there, dropping some comments and stuff.
Yeah, so that was a fun game. And that, you know, there was like tons of stuff that was going on. You know, this river guild hires a group of adventurers to figure out what's happening, because like their barges are getting hijacked, and their stuff keeps getting robbed. So, you know, we start doing, and I don't even know that we solved the problem, to be honest with you. I know we went off on one direction, and you know, what we discovered was we think it was Dugar robbing
Always
the town.
The dirty, filthy Jew.
Yeah. You know, also, you know, and there were some orcs and stuff.
Yeah.
But then we found out where they were hiding, and we basically interrupt like this young fire giant's bar mitzvah. Because the Dugar are forging a magic sword for him. while Drow are enchanting over it, right? So now we encountered this thing, and it's like, holy crap! Like, because we've got a fire giant, clearly a fire giant,
Clearly some Drow, clearly some Dugar.
Yeah, and then we also found prisoners from the town. So I guess we did solve what was going on. But the metagamey part of me goes, oh crap.
Fire giant.
He did a really good job with it, because I don't believe, again, at that time there wasn't really stats for stuff, so I just wung it and made it up. Yeah. The Dugar, we chased a couple, they disappeared, and they came back later in the fight.
And
snuck us, with some crossbow bolts, and it was fun, and my big takeaway from that game was there were a couple things. One was he used monsters that we weren't supposed to fight, and it was fun. So I think a lot of times as players and game masters, we just get hung up on the stats.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. I mean, there are actual stats for those things. A couple bad turns of the dice, that encounter could have totally went another way.
Sure.
That's the thing of this edition. Like, it can pivot one way or another. So.
But that can happen with a goblin or an orc, as we've seen.
Yeah, yeah. I'm talking about this edition.
Look at that, that encounter that I had. I had it planned. I was like, it's just 4 orcs. That's going to be the throwaway.
I don't think 4 orcs are just 4 orcs anymore.
Well, and that's the thing. Yeah. I thought the orcs were going to get crushed, and the challenge was going to be, in my homemade imps, and it turned out, you cast 1 spell, it nearly took out two of the orcs, and it did take out the 4 imps. So if you would have rolled 1 more hit point damage higher, you would have taken out 6 of the 8 things with 1 spell. 1 point damage, one point difference.
Difference of, yeah.
And it's like, okay, but I mean, you wiped the imps, and the works got dropped to 1.
Well, you know what, too? I mean, you were talking about earlier, is like, well, what if you would have done, which we, as DMs, we've all done this before, go, my monsters can't die in the first round. They haven't even taken an action yet.
And, yeah, if I would have said, oh, no, they passed, or, all right, let's
give them a couple more hit points,
yeah. And I've done that many times. I'm like, nah, there's no way this is going over. They got to do something. You guys might have all died.
Well, and yeah, I mean, there's that to be considered too. But the other thing is, like, I mean, partly metagamey, partly not. We kind of most player characters, even at first level, kind of sort of know what the Nork is. They've encountered them, heard stories of them. Something not of this world is the more threatening, scary thing. So, like the imp, the homemade imp. So obviously we target those, in deference of the orcs. But and much to our peril, possibly.
We're possibly metagaming this too, because we're like, oh my god, it's an imp. They're going to poison us.
Well, I mean, but also not, because it's just like, what the hell is this demonic thing?
Yeah.
Like, they look like little demons.
Yeah, but they're only this big.
Yeah. Are they small or tiny?
They're tiny.
I think they're tiny. Yeah, it's like knocking over a toddler.
Yeah.
How scary can it be?
Yeah.
Although that Chucky doll was pretty scary.
Nerdarchy does not condone knocking over toddlers.
Yeah, we even bring them to game with us sometimes.
Yeah.
As known barbarians.
Yeah.
But going back to my story, so I thought it was a lot of fun that he used monsters that we shouldn't be fighting, and it all worked out. And not only that, the fire giant, before we took him down, it sounded an alarm with the horn. And and then soon after that, he surrendered. So we actually had a fire giant prisoner that we were bringing back.
Yeah.
Wow.
And and his people were coming.
Nice.
Yeah, and that's where that campaign ended.
As did the civilization.
Maybe as the fire giants come. Well, hopefully it takes them a little while.
Yeah.
Maybe they get stuck in traffic.
Yeah. On the 4 or 5. Or
we can only hope.
So the other thing about we're talking about encounters, and we're talking about lethality. You've made mention during several different conversations about the actual quickness of the actual encounters time wise. Do you guys feel that across the editions that 5e the battles are over quicker?
So I'm gonna just playing the starter set. So we're doing all these like mini quests or whatever, all little side quests. We went to the town and it's just like ding, 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 ding. It's almost like Baldur's Gate when you had like the quest log, like so we got all these quests. So like we just kind of the last time we actually did get together and play, we just played through a bunch of the little quests. We kind of quick timed it because it's not an actual campaign, and we did 3 encounters in like an hour and a half.
Nice.
3 encounters, like
That used to be like one fight.
yeah, seriously, easily just one encounter.
And is that including like role playing and actual doing other stuff?
I mean,
as well?
we're not super role play heavy because it's like, it's a starter box thing that, like, we're not going to be playing the characters after the thing, so we're not even being super invested in like the bookkeeping of the game, like where you write down all the gold and the silver, whatever. Basically, unless there's a significant item, we're not really tracking anything. So I mean, that would take more time, but
Right.
even so, 3 encounters in an hour and a half. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, with the one online game we did, I want to say there was 3 encounters. I mean, it's on nerdarchy.com somewhere, or not .com, on the YouTube channel, so you can see exactly how long it was.
Mm-hmm.
There was actually a decent amount of role playing in it, and so like I want to say 2 hours tops, and we still did 3 encounters plus role playing and getting the party together.
When I look at things behind the table, it's always different because you're worrying about more things. You're trying to keep what plot lines have the players opened. What have they discovered? What are they going to do next? You're always trying to work on that kind of stuff while you're trying to manage everything else. So I don't have as great a scope on the actual flow of the game in comparison to other editions. So I'm eager to actually see what it's like on the other side of the table. And see how it actually feels.
I'm enjoying the pace. I like it. Like when we played your Pathfinder game the other day, last week. Nothing against the game or anything, but like those
some of the
comments, they
plot,
just feel arduous now.
Yeah.
Like you like we took a break and ran the Wawa, which is a great store for you people that don't have Wawas around. I feel for you. But we ran the Wawa to grab some more caffeine or drinks or whatever. And even you as the DM, where you're like, man, I need a break after these comments.
It's
like he's mopping his brow.
As far as my perspective on that, my dice rolling that night was horrible. Out of all the encounters, greater than 50% of my dice rolls was a 5 or lower on a d20. I cannot tell you how many 3s, 4s, and 5s I rolled that night. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, that's
and when you're dropping 5 attacks around,
you should be hitting
you
once
should
or twice.
be getting that 7 to 13 far more often, and it was just like, oh my god.
I feel your pain. I understand.
So out of all those encounters, I had 2 of them where I couldn't help at all due to 1, I was taken out of the combat. 2, I placed myself out of the combat trying to change the dynamics of the situation. And then the other 2 combats that we were actually in, or 2 or 3, whatever it was, like I was rolling like crap, so it was like I can't help. And I'm supposed to be, I might not be the dreadnought that you and Mark are, but my guy's supposed to be a heavy hitter.
Right.
So
well, that's a great comparison because we did. Let's see, we had the fight with the trash room. Mm-hmm. Was that I think that was our first one, right?
Yeah, it might have been the first encounter that night.
And then what was after that? Was it
the gargoyle?
Yep, the gargoyle. We did 3 fights. We had 3 combat encounters.
Yeah, and then there was like
over like 5.
No, it's more than that.
Was there more of that?
Oh yeah.
I think there was only 3 big encounters.
I think it was 3 encounters, man.
I'm pretty sure.
No, there was
spiders. Spiders was 4.
Oh yes.
And I thought there was another one.
There was the Aarakocra and the Sonic Dragon thing.
But I was counting that one.
Yeah, so they were
5 or 6 hours, 4 encounters.
Yeah.
Compared to.
But I mean, there was role playing and
Well, yeah, there's other stuff, but I'm just comparing it to the other games that we've done, where you're doing almost the same amount of encounters.
Half the time.
And half the time, a fraction of the time.
Yeah.
Which is good. I like it. It leaves more time to get more stuff done, it feels like. So
yeah, I mean, my ideal combats are like in the 3 to 5 round range. Like that seems pretty legit. As far as that goes.
And I think we're back to that. Not and in 4th edition, those combats were like epic.
Yeah.
You know, you could do it. You could do an encounter that could take an hour and a half.
Well, I mean, you know, you could always, you know, use
Not
your
epic
second
and
wind.
field. They were just long.
Yeah.
You know, you had your second wind, and you had, you know, things that, you know, could get you extra hit points, and the monsters could wind up having, you know,
A
similar
million
effects.
hit points.
They definitely had a greater deal of hit points, and as it was a, you know, closer to a miniature war game, combined with role playing, you had tactics which drug things out. You know, if you had pushes and pulls and, you know, manipulations of the actual miniatures on a battlefield, it really changes the dynamics. And don't get me wrong, that kind of stuff can be fun if that's what you're looking for alongside with your role playing. But if you're not looking for any of that, it can get tedious and it can get, you know, irritating.
So I think, you know, fifth gives you like a nice middle ground for that, because you do have where you can control the battlefield, and I mean you described some interesting encounters where you've done a bit of that.
in the one starter set encounter, there was basically a cave where someone did some recon. We knew there was orcs and an ogre. So we did some tactics because we had the advantage on them. We basically set up an ambush. Somebody, I think, launched an attack at the ogre, and which was to lure everything out, basically, or maybe attack some orcs. But anyway, like, so my character then like dropped a web in the mouth of the cave, saw how many things he could sort of like contain. So a bunch of the orcs were bound up, and then some of them charged through because orcs are really good at breaking out of things. Because I think, again, that was a con. I think it was a con or dex. One of them save. So I do that, and then there was an interesting thing where I was able to, at the mouth of the cave, I kind of put myself in the harm's way to do this, but I thought it was so funny I could not do it. So they were kind of, like arrayed near the mouth of the cave. The web was like just inside of it. There were a few orcs stuck in there. So what I did is I thunder waved, because it was enough to push them back into the web.
Nice.
I did that like twice.
I was just like, this is good. So.
See, the other thing, in my game, Mark's character has Ray of Frost. You know, he's a high elf fighter, but he took Ray of Frost as his free cantrip. So there was like 2 rounds in a row that he blasted somebody with Ray of Frost and then backed up. So it slowed them down, and then with the double move, they couldn't actually get into melee.
Yeah.
So he's dropping the D8, and since they didn't have a range
the slowing
attack,
effect of that is awesome.
Yeah, it was.
So
I mean, technically too, if you have what is the maximum range on Ray of Frost?
60.
60.
Unless
So I mean,
you have spell sniper.
well, there you go. But I mean, so an interesting tactical thing that you could do with that too is, so you have your caster or your high elf who just happens to have it do that at max range, do it back up. And then you have, especially at second level, you basically have a rogue that can snipe from afar with like a bow,
Right.
From concealment, get their advantage attack, which lets them sneak,
Right.
hide again, and basically kind of like trail the guy.
I can't wait to make my mountain dwarf, it might be hill dwarf, but probably mountain dwarf rogue crossbowman.
Nice.
He's totally not going to be doing any sneaking.
No,
it's just all about me sniper.
nice. Yeah. Well, I mean, but if he has, but still, if he has advantage, he gets his sneak attack at least.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, heavy armor, crossbow. There you go.
Yeah, just chill back, and then when you have to pull out the battle axe and you have to take care of business. But but back to the tactical aspect of it, where it feels like we still have a lot of tactics we can do, minus a lot of the bookkeeping.
Yeah.
And
the bookkeeping, is definitely less fun. Even with
and
treasure like that, sometimes it just gets a little arduous.
Here's another angle to look at: is when we first look through the PHB and especially the starter rules. There was a lot less crunch and manipulation, and now that we've got a couple weeks to settle in with the Players Handbook, do you feel like you've still got that third edition of, well, if I go this route and this race, this class, or these 2 classes combined, I can make something really interesting, or I can make something that gives
absolutely.
me this.
I mean, I just mentioned this earlier. There's I feel like there's more of a cost to do it in this edition, but you can still do it. Like, you go a second level rogue, second level fighter, you get the bonus action from being a rogue combined with the action surge of being a fighter. That's pretty badass.
Yeah.
There's a ton of cool things like that in there you can do.
You and I were discussing this, and the first time I have a chance of saying, okay, we're going to start a game at second level, I've got a barbarian sorcerer that I did the basic stat array. Shirtless has got a 20 armor class.
Nice.
And I'm like, I love it.
Eat your heart out, Conan.
In a game that's designed to have those lower numbers. In Athos, my Thrycreen has a 20 armor class, and I'm pretty happy about that. But
doesn't mean quite the same thing.
It doesn't mean the same thing as in 5e, where
yeah.
everything is roughly 2 to 3 points lower. The scale has been dropped, and to have that without, it's like, all right, he's got a shield, and it's not like I got super stats.
But is that prior to dropping mage armor?
No, that's all the time. That's no spells.
Wow, before mage armor. Yeah. Well, yeah, because I was gonna say, like one of the 2 spells that you would know as a sorcerer was spell with mage armor. You didn't even have it yet.
Dragon.
So it's you take a sorcerer with the Dragon Pact that gives you the +3 to AC.
Yeah.
Take the level of barbarian, gives you the con to your AC.
Yeah.
So he's got a 16 con, 14 dex.
Yeah.
So that's 5 plus.
And then if you strap a shield to
and
him,
he straps a shield, that puts it up to a 20.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. So.
Well, what was I gonna say? So the monsters. That's what I wanted to talk about. The monsters, because now that I'm about to run a game and I had a chance to look at it. So save and suck is kind of back to a lesser degree.
Right.
That's a second edition concept.
Yes. And third. It was in third.
Not as much.
I think it was fourth that they really got rid of it. So now there's definitely things where if you fail 2 saving throws, you're done. But most of it, I haven't seen any fail 1 saving throw and you're boned. It's always like fail 2 and you turn to stone forever. But then what they've done is really interesting with the undead is instead of undead attacking your level or a stat, I think the shadow still attacks strength, but it lowers your maximum hit points if you fail your save.
Yeah.
And I mean, you get it back after a long rest. Yeah. But you're in an encounter. You have 50 hit points. You're down to 30 as your maximum. Well, guess what? You can't be healed.
Right.
Because you're at your maximum hit points, and then so you have to survive the encounter, but then you have to survive the night.
Long rest.
Yeah.
In the undead infested swamp of Sega.
Yeah.
Or you're trekking through some undead crypt or some lost catacomb or some undead infested mine shaft, whatever. And if it's just littered with undead that are draining the crap out of you, what are you gonna do? I mean, some DMs are always doing that random encounter during a rest. If you're gonna keep fighting the same kind of stuff, it's gonna whittle away at you, and that's one that hurts.
As it should.
And there's actually spells, that are in there that have that same effect. It does necrotic damage. That whatever damage it does, it's temporary hit point loss as well.
So I like that feature. I think it's a nice middle ground where it's really feels really lethal and suckish when it happens.
Yeah.
But it's not like my
Well, and it's also thematic. Like it's stealing your life energy, like this undead thing. Like that's kind of cool too.
So I think between us all we've got like 7 sessions.
So yeah, something like that.
With the overlap combined. Right. So so far it still holds up. Granted, you're second or third level.
What you have 3rd level character, yeah.
Yeah. I've seen 2nd level with I'm about to level up another character to 2nd. So
3rd level, it's pretty nice. It's a pretty nice level. You get especially as a caster, it feels pretty good. Yeah.
So we haven't seen too many more levels. I'm getting ready to run. You've run. You've just played.
Yeah.
I'm excited about getting to run this game, and for me everything holds up so far.
I'm enjoying it, and like I said, I'm eager to see it from the other side of the table.
Well, you know what happened too? Like I started revisiting it, so there's a couple things that came up, and I have to look at one thing more in depth. But you know, as I look at things more, I've been looking at the mage and the wizard, and what I didn't realize initially is how few spells they get throughout the levels.
Well, I mean, come on. Look at the sorcerer comparison to the wizard. The wizard kind of gets it all over in spades. Like, yeah, they get. I mean, they have access to 4 spells, and they get about as many castings. And after a short rest, they get half their level back, or half their spell levels back.
Yeah, well,
so,
I'm
like,
slowly
so it's funny.
exploring.
Like, the wizard is actually. Has the higher volume of being able to cast.
But
so
at 20th level,
yeah.
you know, look, you know, if you go back to 4th or 3rd edition,
Yeah,
at 20th level, a wizard can cast 1/8 and 1/9.
Yeah, that's
And
wow.
and that is so much less than previous editions.
Now let's
I
look
think,
at the sorcerer.
You know, I think in 3.5, you know, 'cause I mean, 4th you had you know,
I think in 3.5 you got like a million spells was about a specialist wizard could have like 6 or 7 first level spells. Like,
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, if you were a specialist wizard at 20th level, you were looking at 3 or 4 9th and probably 5 8ths.
It's the same.
yeah, the wizard.
The wizard and the sorcerer get the same amount number of spells. to
So I
cast.
mean, the only differential, like, so the wizard's kind of superior to the sorcerer.
But the sorcerer has you know, I mean, and it's always been the concept of the sorcerer is the versatility.
Well,
And-
no, not really. When the wizard at first level has 4 spells it can draw from, the sorcerer has 2. So half
but
as many.
Once you actually get further up the level, when you actually start getting the sorcerer points and you have the ability to
The points,
manipulate them,
that's what I'm saying. The points at like 3rd level is the only time that the sorcerer starts to get into the versatility.
and that's
So.
really what, you know, they had to figure out how to make the
Yeah,
sorcerer
I think
feel.
what you're gonna find as you get higher level with the sorcerer, those points are gonna give you a lot more spell casting.
mean a lot more. Yeah.
You're gonna get more spell casting from them, or more versatility with what you can do.
Right. Yeah.
So you're right. You know, the sorcerer is backloaded, as opposed to the wizard.
yeah, basically the sorcerer is going to be kind of rough until like level 3 or whatever.
Yeah, I think level 2 they start getting the points.
Yeah.
Yeah, Fountain of Magic, second level tap and blah 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 blah. Spring sorcery points. Yeah, so they start getting them at level 2. So at level 2, then they start to pass the wizard and the number of spells or the interesting things that they can do.
Yeah.
So you know it.
You
They've
know,
changed.
Anthony brought up a point that concerns me though. The monk. I have to investigate the monk a little deeper. He's like, the monk just totally gets boned. And at first level, I can't disagree.
Oh, I mean, they have their unarmored weapon damage of only a D4, and he feels that that's a little bit too light in comparison to, you know, what the fighter can kind of do. I think as you gain levels,
Well,
you know,
dude, they're a D4 until level 5.
Yeah, at level 5 it'll
but
start
you
going
know,
up.
I mean, you can always use a monk weapon, and they actually, you know, that. They made things a little bit easier. It's like, oh, so you want to fight with a staff that just happens to have, you know, a chain in the middle and call it nunchucks. Sure. So they made things a little bit easier for just identifying, you know, some of the off weapons and not having to make them something bizarre.
Right. Well, I feel like, you know, looking at it, when they get like the sorcerer, it's when they get their Kai points. You know, that's where they're really versatile. Two bonus attacks for a Kai point instead of 1. Take the dodge action as a bonus action.
Yeah.
That one's
That's pretty handy.
yeah. That one's pretty good. That means
So you have some classes that you do have to really get into a little bit to really get the feel. And I think what they did with 5th edition is they didn't want, you know, they didn't want that front-loaded effect.
Well, they
that
took away
had.
the level dip. Where like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to dip into this for 1 or 2 levels to get this awesome thing, and
and I think that's what it is. I mean, because let's face it, they have short sword as one of their monk weapons, so that's a D6.
You know, so you can go that route. It's like, but I want to just punch things. Well, then if you want to just punch things, suck it up and use your D4. You know, and stick with your theme. If you want to power game and do the most damage, then pick up a weapon. You know, it's not that big a deal. And once you become super awesome monk that you can eventually become, then put down your weapon. Then put down the
Not
weapon.
only that,
again.
you compare the monk's D4 to everyone else's 1 point of damage.
Mhm.
You know, so they're 4 times better.
Right.
But-
Potentially.
So that is the only thing so far that I'm like, oh, I got to relook at that, and I think that again, there's a couple classes that, well, the interesting thing too about 5th is here's the deal, you are essentially an apprentice until 3rd level.
All right. Well, let's go to a core question here. When you choose a class for a character, why are you choosing a class? Is it because of what they get, or is it because that's what you want to play?
Yes. I think it's a little bit both. I mean, sometimes you have a concept and you pick the class that fits it the most. Sometimes you pick a class because of what they get, and then you come up with a concept.
Yeah. Well, and then sometimes it's just like, I always play a rogue. Let me play a caster or whatever.
Yeah, let me switch it up.
Yeah.
I can't wear the same pair of underpants every day.
Yeah. So there's that. Like, yeah.
So I look at it as like, okay, I like to look at concepts, as much as I like to look at classes, and sometimes you say, okay, well, let me power build this character like that barbarian sorcerer.
Yeah.
But if you say, all right, I want to play a cleric of magic, and this is what I'm going to do, okay, well, what do you wind up getting to go along with it?
Well, I find it too. It's real easy to change things out too. Like I seen another point that was brought up is like the assassins. Why are the assassins always using disguise? Right? Why does it got to be disguise? Well, in this edition, it's real easy to go. Well, I'm not that kind of assassin.
Could I change out the disguise kit for poison tools?
Yeah, or something else. Can I be a Boyer Fletcher instead?
Yeah, and
well, to assassinate somebody, you usually do, unless you're gonna be a second story man that like creeps into somebody's window. You have to get close to them to kill them. Yeah, but
sometimes I look at it this way too, though. Like, so if I wanted to do my sniper character, I would probably take the assassin route. But then again,
and just
like,
not use those abilities.
Yeah, like what am I?
Well, no, because like I think there's something in here like of the actual abilities that they get, where like I'm probably never gonna actually do that. I think the same thing with my rogue. Like I'm gonna probably take the thief route, but like there's only a few things that were applicable, and then some of them are like, well, that's not really a thing my character would use, so some aspects of it are wasted.
And sometimes that kind of stuff happens with a character build.
Yeah.
You've got a certain path in mind that you want to take, and something that you're getting just doesn't fit, doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, until they release like more archetypes or whatever, then maybe by the time that character levels the 3rd, there might be something.
But I feel
more
like the system's easy enough to interchange things too. Like this is what I'm going for. This is like a similar level power. Can I change it out? Me personally, as a DM, I'm like, whatever. I don't care.
Right.
I'm pretty easygoing. I let people do whatever. I mean, the game we're about to play, I got two goblins. There is no rules for goblins. They're like, can we reskin a halfling? I'll make sure. Goblins should have dark vision. You want to get rid of brave for dark vision? Yeah, we'd like to do that. We're not going to be brave anyway.
Because goblins are not brave.
Yeah, goblins are not brave.
Yeah, it's not really a thing.
So it's just easy. This system is really easy. Interchange things and kind of make the character that you want. If it's not written that way, if your DM is willing to work with you, I think you can make it happen. Whatever.
Absolutely.
You're trying to do.
Yeah, as long as your DM's not a dick.
Right, or you're not being a dick as a player too. There's always that too.
Yeah.
So you've got lots of options. I mean, we're only the DMG isn't even out yet, and there's already lots to choose from. Like I said, you got goblins running in your next game,
and a shifter in the family game once that starts.
It's almost like if only we had more time in the game to actually explore all the options. Like
really pesky jobs.
And I mean that's always one of the things with gaming is like, okay, well, this campaign failed or this character died. Well, I get to play another character. Just dip into the pool. I mean, I've made at least half a dozen characters, and I haven't played a single session as a player.
I think you've out-character created us who have played in different games.
Yeah, that's true.
I think I've created 4 characters now.
I've got 6.
Nice.
I mean, it's just fun.
And Brigade Con's coming up, so for Brigade Con, I'm going to be playing a 4th level character. I'm going to do my Dwarven Sniper, I think.
Nice.
I might have to look into that.
GM Juice is running. It'll be a good game.
Yeah, check it out.
All right.
So as long as
so
the internet
5e, we've got, as you said, seven sessions across the board. We're still giving it the thumbs up.
I think so, man. I think so.
Stay in the
7
course.
sessions and a session 0, which is just character creation.
Yep.
Stay in the course.
Sure.
So with that, check us out on nerdarchy.com, Facebook, the Twitters.
All
And
over social media.
Yeah.
Just-
Pretty
And
much,
hey,
yeah.
Tell us your experiences. What do you guys think of 5th edition? Have you played a couple games and now it sucks, or now it's even more awesome?
Or
than you
favorite
thought?
character builds as you're going along. Yeah, we'd
Yeah.
like to hear about it.
Put it in there. Like, comment,
Comment,
subscribe,
subscribe.
and share.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us, and
Until
stay
next
nerdy.
time.
Stay nerdy.